And welcome everyone to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Folks, it's the Walkoff, the only show dedicated solely to baseball here on the Montclair State campus. I'm your host, Vincent Cohen, and I'm joined by the always amazing, the always fun Anthony Walsh. Anthony, we got a lot to talk about today, and it goes all the way from Canada back to the States, and then we're playing a fun game later. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, once again, waiting on some Pete Alonso news as usual. Maybe we'll get something this weekend. Knowing our luck, at 3:01 p.m., we're going to get Pete Alonso news. But, yeah, I mean, otherwise I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I like the move the Mets made this past week, which I know we'll get into a little bit. But, yeah, doing pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm interested to know how everything went. But we are going to start off with someone that, I mean, Anthony, stop me if I'm wrong, and please do. I never saw going to this particular spot, and actually, I didn't even see. My favorite part was, I was like, I was like looking through Instagram, and I was thinking about what we're going to talk about on the show today, and then I was talking about what we're going to talk on the show, and I saw the baseball reference, this player can now be used on like 4 or 5 different teams on Baseball Reference. And it was Max Scherzer. The legendary Max Scherzer is moving on. He's going to the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, he's agreed to a 1-year, $15.5 million deal. Guys, he is 40. The 3-time Cy Young winner, the 2-time World Series champion. Scherzer addition bolsters the Blue Jays pitching staff. He joins veterans Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett, and Jose Barrios, providing a significant depth with over 7,000 combined innings. Despite his age, Scherzer is still considered one of the best pitchers in baseball, and the Blue Jays hope his leadership and performance will evaluate their staff. Now, Scherzer's health is particularly something that has plagued his career, especially last year. And that's going to be a key factor to something that the Jays are going to have to look at this year. Pitching coach Pete Walker has a strong track record with veteran starters. So we're hoping for the best for him and hopefully one more full season. Now, with Scherzer off the board, the Jays have a more flexible ability to pursue more moves, maybe some more bats. They got Anthony Santander, which I really liked for them. The only problem for me is, and this time it doesn't really affect Scherzer. Anthony, stop me if I'm wrong. There's no way this team is contending in 2026. This year maybe, but Bichette and Vlad are as good as gone. They're going to get paid.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'll start with this. I mean, I don't think Scherzer's like anywhere near what he was even 3 or 4 years ago. I really think ever since he went to the Dodgers back in 2021, and he had a good year then, but ever since then, it's been injury after injury. The age has caught up with him, and now, I mean, I think it's even a stretch to call him a mediocre pitcher just because he couldn't stay on the field.
I think I saw that he's going to be like their 4th starter. And listen,
that's fine, but
Anthony, you and I were just talking about it outside. I think he should be a guy that moves to the pen. Why would that be so bad? Now, listen, I don't think it's, wrong to say that Max Scherzer kind of has, I wouldn't say an ego, but a really strong mentality. And he's going to pitch. We were talking about it last week, how CC Sabathia pitched until his arm gave out.
Yeah.
He pitched his last pitch. He can't throw. Scherzer's going to do that. Would not be surprised if Scherzer already has done that, and he's just pitching on whatever's left.
Pitching on fumes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think him and Verlander, as much as they kind of butted heads when they were in Detroit and, had their issues, they're both the same kind of guy. They're both ultra competitors. This is the thing that made them great, right? So, it's hard for me to criticize it, but also you kind of have to know when to hang it up. Like, I know firsthand as a fan of the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers is not what he was 3 or 4 years ago, but he still has that same mentality as he was when he was 26 winning MVPs. So it's the same thing here, just a different sport. My issue is you're paying a guy $15.5 million after a season where he threw in 9 games. That just doesn't sound like smart business advice to me. If a guy showed up to 9 days of work in the business world, would you be paying him an expensive contract that next year? No, you wouldn't. Well, it's the same thing here. And even when he did pitch in 2023 with the Mets and Texas, he hardly did anything on that Texas Rangers team that won the World Series. And he was terrible with the Mets. I mean, I can tell you firsthand in 2022, the wild card, he was absolutely terrible. So I even let's say the Blue Jays get into a position where they're good and actually get in the playoffs, I don't think he's going to do anything in those playoffs. That's the thing. I mean, he's going to be average at best if you're lucky, and you're paying him a contract that is pretty good. I mean, it's an expensive contract. For the life of me, I don't understand it. I think it's honestly just a desperation move on the Blue Jays' part. We mentioned it last time we had the show. They've been in on every single free agent, and they don't get anybody except for Santander. This was a move, I think, that they wanted to show their fans, look, we're still trying. But it's a weak move. This isn't 2015. This is 2025.
Yeah, exactly. I think, Anthony, I think you summed it up pretty well. Now, really quickly, there's a lot of news to talk about, and I actually really want to play this game that I'm so excited for to get to. But we are going to go to a quick break. Guys, when we come back, we are going to be talking about a team that, well, you could just say they're pretty royal. And welcome back, everyone, to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We are talking about baseball, of course, and we are so excited. We have a new guest here in the studio with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, how are you guys? My name is David. I am a junior student here at Montclair State University, and I am majoring in sports communication.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. Now, we are talking about off-season moves today. A lot of stuff has gone down, but you just heard Royal by Lord, and if you're a big baseball fan, you would have guessed. Carlos Estevez is the man that's going to the Royals, the former Philadelphia Philly. He's signing a 2-year, $22 million deal. The all-star closer includes a $13 million option for a third year. He's 32 right now. And is coming off a career-best 2.45 ERA in 2024, posting 20 saves with the Angels and Phillies, and earning his first All-Star selection. Now, Estevez has a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Awesome. A strong slider. Great. A changeup with a 37% whiff rate, allowing opponents to just 192 average against him. He is a fun piece to watch out of the pen. Now, I will say this. When he left Philly... when he left L.A. to come to Philly, I just didn't really, not that I didn't like him, he just constantly scared the everything out of me. Like, I remember his first game, I think he blew the save. It was his first blown save of the year. And then after that, he got into trouble. He got more into trouble. He just kept on getting into trouble. I don't know. Anthony, what do you think about this move?
I like it. I mean, I don't think he's going to be one of the best closers in baseball necessarily, but I think for a team like the Royals that isn't going to spend a whole lot of money, this is a good value deal for them. $11 million a year for Estevez isn't bad. I know, like, you kind of left with a bad taste in your mouth because of the Lindor Grand Slam and everything, and I'm obviously very happy about that.
Wow, you gotta bring that up again.
I had to bring that up. I mean, listen, not many great things happen in the Mets fans' life, in terms of sports-wise, so I have to bring it up. But anyway, I still think he's a really solid pitcher. I mean, you go through some of the more advanced metrics. Last year, he finished with a 1.77 ERA plus, which is really good ERA plus. And just in general, finished the year with a 2.38 ERA. I think he's a solid pitcher. I mean, I think he kind of, towards that stretch run with the Phillies, showed what he's capable of. Now, I mean, in the playoffs again, I don't know what you're going to get. I don't want to call him being bad in the playoffs just because of one moment. But I think for a team like the Royals that's trying to compete more in the American League, trying to play against these better teams like the Yankees and actually be the big dog, I think it's a good move for them. They're not going to spend a lot of money, and this is one of those examples of that. And I think, like, normally when you don't spend a lot of money, like Max Scherzer we just talked about, you got a guy that's kind of past his prime. Estevez is still in his prime.
Yeah, I like the move. He had a 2.57 ERA with the Phillies. That's fine. I'm not bashing him. He just got into some trouble every once in a while, and the playoffs was rough. Let me ask you something big here. And David, I'd love to know your opinion too. Do you think the Royals make it back to the playoffs? I think they've been upgrading a lot. And I still like Vinny Pasquantino. I love Vinny. I love, of course, Bobby Witt, who I thought should have been on the cover of MLB 25, the show 25.
I can get behind that.
One of the best shortstops, young shortstops in the game.
I think he's the best shortstop in the league right now. I mean, honestly, tell me any other shortstop that finished top 3 in either voting. It's just
true. I mean, I get
it's
that.
Bobby Witt.
I want to fight for my boy Lindor. I get it, but
yeah, I know you want to fight.
But I hear you. I hear you.
We've had this conversation like 50 times. I'll say this: Bobby Witt is such an exciting player. He is going to. He's a big reason why more fans are coming to the game because of Bobby Witt. Now I'm a big fan of Bobby Witt, so maybe I'm just loving him a little bit too much. But that's my opinion. Now, I really think that this team played awesome last year. Vinny Pasquantino struggled with injuries. You had a Bobby Witt Jr. that performed out of his mind. Now you had Jonathan India to that mix. You lose Brady Singer, but Brady Singer was good at home and then stunk on the road. Still have Cole Reagans. I love Cole Reagans. Still have Seth Lugo. I don't know how Seth Lugo is going to do this year, but if he can do anything close to what he did last year, I really think this team has a chance to make another playoff run, especially in a AL Central that I think the Tigers are going to compete in. I think the Twins can still compete in. The Guardians are going to compete in, and the Royals are also going to compete. The only team that's not going to compete, why am I blanking? Who's the other Central team?
The American League Central?
Yeah.
Guardians.
Well, no, the Guardians are going to compete. Tigers are going to compete.
Twins
Twins are going to compete.
White Sox.
White.
They're an easy
Yeah.
team to forget.
You see why I forgot them?
Yeah, they'll be at the bottom of the barrel.
Why they'll be at the bottom of the barrel once again. No offense to White Sox fans out there, but you're not getting any better, and I'm not getting any younger. So there's 2 facts for you.
I mean, you still got Tim Anderson. He's a pretty good shortstop.
He's not on. He's in Miami.
Well, he's a free agent right now. He's
not
anywhere.
coming back. Come on. I don't think anybody's picking him up. I think he's going on a minor league deal. I think he did go on a minor league deal somewhere.
Okay.
Angels.
I'm gonna check that for you.
Angels, actually, yes.
Yes. On like
I'll give you a guy that I think that the Royals, if they're gonna have a season that's better than last season, Jonathan India. I think Jonathan India is absolutely huge for the Kansas City Royals because this is a guy that is still young. I know, really only had the one really good year. Outside of that was average. But now he's in a solid lineup. He's in a solid situation with the Royals, an up and coming team. And also another guy, Salvador Perez. Is Salvador Perez still going to be able to contribute? Last year had a good year, but he's getting older.
Yes.
There's a lot of factors there, but in terms of the teams that don't spend a lot of money, I think this is one of those better teams. I mean, you could look at a lot of the league and they don't spend money. They're not very good. So, yeah, I think they're going to be a lot better.
I just think that if this team's able to compete, it is going to be a lot more fun. Because I hate seeing the same old teams in the playoffs constantly. The Royals are one of those teams. The Tigers are the other team that is really exciting that they made it to the playoffs. I know they lost to the Guardians in the second round, but what an accomplishment by them. And we're going to talk about them a little bit later in our game. So stick around for that. But, Anthony, I want to know what the Cubs are doing right now. We talked about the White Sox a little bit and how they're still going to be at the bottom of the barrel, which I don't think anybody's surprised about. I want to know what's going on with the Chicago Cubs. Please, take it away here.
Yeah, so the Cubs traded for Ryan Presley from the Houston Astros. They sent Juan Bello, if I'm pronouncing that right. He's a 20-year-old from the Cubs organization. I like this move. I very rarely do you see the Cubs really doing very much. We just mentioned the Royals. The Cubs are another one of these teams that don't do a whole lot. But Ryan Presley's still a solid pitcher. I know he's older. I know, injury issues at times. But he's still pretty solid, I think. And if you're one of these teams that's not going to spend a whole lot of money, Ryan Presley's a solid option for you. I'll put it this way. I'm glad they didn't go and sign one of these veterans on the market that's not that great.
Another Astro? All right. I'll take it. To match with Kyle Tucker. And I really like Kyle Tucker. I think, hot take here, and you can quote me on this. If Kyle Tucker can stay healthy, would not be surprised if he's in the running. Not going to win, all right? Wouldn't be surprised if Shohei wins again. But if he's in the running for MVP, Kyle Tucker.
Really?
Yeah, Kyle Tucker.
Where do you think he finishes?
I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes third. honestly. He think about it. I mean, we were talking about him a lot at the start of the season last year on the show, and as good as he was, he got hurt. He got hurt for like 80 games or something. And I think Acuna is going to have a bounce back season. But I wouldn't be surprised if he continues to battle. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm wrong, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. And then, hey, maybe I will be wrong. But we are going to move on here because there's so many stories around the league. Now, this one is big for Anthony Walsh over here, the big Mets fan. All right. Anthony brought this to my attention. And when he did, first of all, what's this day called?
What do you mean, what's this day called?
Well, like, there's a name for this Mets day.
Oh, Mets Amazing Day. That's what you're bringing up. Okay.
Never heard that in my life.
It's like a fan fest for the Mets fans. Like they have all these old players come, and Juan Soto was supposed to be there, but then his flight got canceled, which I'm sure was disappointing.
Flight got canceled.
Yeah, from the Dominican Republic. But it seemed like a fun event. I don't know, but Steve Cohen made some news as he usually does. He talked to the fans. The fans were chanting, "We want Alonso," and they were booing David Stearns over it. And then Steve Cohen calmed everybody down.
Yeah, so here is part of the clip where Steve Cohen's trying to calm the fans down.
We've made a significant offer to Pete, what Davis says correct. He's entitled to go out and explore his market, and that's what he's doing. Personally, this has been an exhausting conversation and negotiation. I mean, Soto was tough. This is worse. Okay. And a lot of it is, we've made a significant. I don't like the structures that are being presented back to us. I think it's highly asymmetric against us, and I feel strongly about it. And so, I will never say no. There's always the possibility, but the reality is, we're moving forward, and we continue to bring in players. As we continue to bring in players, the reality is, it becomes harder to fit Pete into what is a very expensive, group of players that we already have, and that's where we are. And I'm being brutally honest. I don't like the negotiations. I don't like what's been presented to us. Listen, maybe that changes, and certainly, I'll always stay flexible. If it stays this way, I think we're going to have to get used to the fact that, we may have to go forward and with the existing players that we have.
I just think that's basically says a lot of the story. If Soto was harder than this, or if this is harder than Soto, are you kidding me? You would have taken $700 million out of your pocket for Soto. This is Pete Alonso, who, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't get, a couple hundred, but what? Are you kidding me? Now, this is a lot of Scott Boras, who we've heard so much about, and Alonso has said he's not changing his agent after the offseason.
Yeah. I this whole situation just it confuses me because I don't know. Pete Alonso's coming off of a bad year, right? You're not going to get the contract of a lifetime because you're coming off of a bad year. You also know that you're a first baseman who's 30 years old, and most first basemen when they're that age isn't getting a huge contract. But yet you're still haggling over money. I mean, I get you have Scott Boras is your agent, and he's known to do that. But at what point are you going to say, like, okay, it's enough, Scott. Like, you haven't gotten me anything. I know other agents tried to reach out to him, and he wasn't listening to any of them. He said, I'm sticking behind Scott Boras. But I think Steve Cohen saying the structure of the contract was very telling because that means something with the opt-outs, something with the years is holding him up. I don't think it's just money holding him up. I think it's the way they're structuring it.
Contract, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's say I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. WFAN's Evan Roberts said that after I think it was the first or the second year, there's going to be an opt-out. And if he takes that opt-out, then they're going to give him additional money on top of that. Just from him opting out. That means he performs well. You're already paying a guy doesn't have any market. And then if he opts out to go get a bigger market, you pay him more money. If that's true, I think that's ridiculous. And even a guy like George Steinbrenner, even in his prime, wouldn't do that contract. And he gave insane contracts for that time period. Like, it has to be a team-friendly deal. It has to be a team-friendly deal.
I just really think that I don't know, because I guarantee it's going to be the exact same as Blake Snell. Again, we're going to see him get a small deal just so he can at least play, and it's not going to be worth it. He's going to play for, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, David, you said earlier that you think it's between the Blue Jays and the Mets.
Yes, but looking at it now, you also have to look at the market. Realistically, if he was that desirable of a first baseman, he would have, garnered more interest, and I think he would have signed already. Realistically, I think in the next couple of days, though, yes, it is between the Blue Jays and the Mets, but I think he's going to lean more towards the Mets, and I actually think he's going to have a reunion with the Mets. I think right now that the Mets and him are just simply at a stalemate, and they're just having a staring contest. It's probably over some sort of, minute details, like you said, with the contract and, like, the structure of it, maybe, like, the years or maybe, like, the amount of money that's, going to be paid in the contract and stuff like that. But I think he eventually will return to the Mets like very soon, probably in the next couple of days.
I don't know.
I mean,
this feels way too close to one of the signings that we saw last year, and it's just Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell. Like,
well, let me say this. I mean, I completely agree with you, David, that I think it's between the Mets and the Blue Jays because he hasn't. I mean, I know John Heyman just came out with an article that the Reds might have interest in him. Quite frankly, I don't see the Reds.
Where did I said the Reds would be a good fit.
But let's be real here. I mean, if we're living in fantasy land, if we're doing fantasy baseball, maybe that happens. The Reds aren't giving him a contract, even if it's a discounted contract that's $75, $80 million. They're just not paying that. And he doesn't want to go there. I mean, who wants to go from New York, the best baseball city in the world, in my opinion? Maybe you'll say Philly. I don't know. But
no.
Philly is the worst, right? But the best baseball city in the world, and then you go to Cincinnati. I mean, the second to last smallest market in baseball. I think Milwaukee's the smallest market, but Cincinnati, I get they have a good fan base and everything, but
Ellie De La Cruz, I mean, that's probably just about, the only bright spot on that.
Was he going to stay when his contract gets up? I mean, if his career.
Listen, you guys are trashing the Reds. They have Ellie De La Cruz. They have Gavin Lux now at second base. They have Brady Singer. Don't be surprised. Listen, Nick Lodolo is going to come back. He's going to look really good. Hunter Green. Wouldn't be surprised. But yes,
now,
keep on going.
If Ellie De La, when he becomes a free agent, Ellie De La Cruz, let's just say he's as good as he is right now and doesn't get hurt. Is he re-signing with the Reds? Do you honestly think he's I don't think they could hold anybody.
I think he's going to test the free agency market.
I think the only reason he wouldn't get it is because I don't know. He's going.
They're not going
because someone else is going to give him more money. It's just going to be
Ellie De La
money-wise.
Cruz, when the time comes for him to sign that big, max contract, I think he's going to look at bigger markets, and I think teams potentially like the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers, they've been on the spending.
They sign everybody.
Yeah, they're signing. I mean, they have deferred money till 2046, I believe.
That's
Ohtani.
Yeah.
That's 21 years from now.
And the Reds are never going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to look at bigger markets, maybe a team like the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies. So he'll be looking at bigger markets.
That's the issue. I mean, if you can't hold a homegrown guy that grew up in your organization, you're telling me you're going to attract a 30-year-old first baseman that all he's known is New York. Honestly, I don't want to throw shade on John Heyman. I think John Heyman has a very close relationship with Scott Boras. And I think that a lot of the times he writes stories. A lot of the times it's from Scott Boras' mouth, which, look, if you have a connection there, you're going to write the story. It's newsworthy. But also Scott Boras has an agenda. He wants it to make it seem like Pete Alonso has a huge market, which he doesn't have. So I agree. I think it's between the Mets and the Blue Jays. But he's going to go to Toronto maybe for a couple extra million and do what?
It's not only that. I mean, him going to Toronto, he also has competition there in Vlad. I mean, right. Vlad, that's another first baseman. If you compare him to Vlad, I'd say Vlad overall is a better player.
He's on a contract here, though.
Yeah, I'd say Vlad's a better player because of his offensive prowess. I mean, both of them, they're not really threats running the bases. They're on the bigger end, probably a little over 250. They're not really stealing bases or anything, or the best base runners or anything like that. But if you compare both people's games and the aspects of their games, I'd say Vlad is a better player because of his offensive prowess. I'd say he's a better hitter than Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso maybe the edge, maybe defensively, but maybe not even that. But he also has Vlad there in Toronto, so that's why I'm saying I think he'll actually, in the next couple of days, sign with the Mets.
I don't think he signs with the Jays. I don't think he signs with the Blue Jays anywhere. Honestly, I think it's either going to be just like the Mets or some random team because the Mets were like, all right, we can't keep doing this with you. We're just going to put Vientos at first.
I think it's just a matter of when with the Mets. When is it going to stretch into the regular season? Because if that's going to happen.
Then it's going to get into spring training, and then it's just going to be I don't feel like doing this again.
Yeah, another thing is, I also think that Pete Alonso is also looking at the futures and optimizations of both teams. I mean, if you look at both teams, I mean, and the way they retooled this offseason, I mean, the Blue Jays had a pretty successful offseason, but they're still, I think, going to be a tier below probably the Guardians and definitely the Yankees. If you're looking at the Mets, I mean, you got Juan Soto, who is a generational hitter, who probably has one of the best offensive prowess that we've recently seen out of any hitter, an offensive player. And he's probably looking at the optimization in the future of both teams. And if you compare the two side by side, I give it to the Mets. The
Mets have an owner that wants to spend.
Yeah,
Blue Jays don't.
The Mets seem to have a better future outlook. So I think he actually goes to the Mets.
Well, folks, we are going to go to a quick break. But if you're Pete Alonso out there, and hey, you're feeling just, you don't know what's going on, you're a little suspicious right now, this one's for you.
We're caught in a trap.
And welcome back, everyone, to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Folks, it's the Walkoff, of course, my favorite show because I'm on it.
My favorite show, too.
Anthony's favorite show, too. We are also joined by David. And, guys, the first thing I just want to talk about, not for too long, but Ha-Seong Kim and the Rays agree to a 2-year, $29 million deal. Now, Kim won't be ready to play on opening day as he's recovering from a surgery to repair a small tear in his right shoulder. I don't know body parts. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. He is aiming to return early in the season, perhaps in May. We'll be getting out of school. He'll be heading over to Tampa Bay. Seems like a nice job there. But, you know, you lose. They lost Willie Adames a couple of years ago. Ha-Seong Kim is a pretty good replacement over there. You have Yandy Diaz. Wouldn't be surprised if this team contends for a little bit, but don't really see them going up against the Yankees, the Orioles, even the Blue Jays at this point. I really don't see them going up against. But the AL East is just so packed up that I think the Blue Jays are finally in a position where they need to spend money, and I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, honestly, this move just reminded me again of, like, just how easy the Yankees have it almost. I feel, maybe it's me as a Mets fan, the NL East is so much more difficult than the AL East. Like,
I don't know. The Orioles compete every year now.
They do, but still.
I think we're going to see the Red Sox compete this year.
But in the NL East, you got the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. Those are all three, you could say, division winners. AL East, you got the Orioles and the Yankees. Like, Blue Jays, there's no chance to win in the division. The Rays ain't winning the division. Like,
the Rays ain't winning the division. That's a hot take by Anthony Walsh.
I know,
right
but
there.
I have to.
You heard it here first on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
I have to. But listen, you said that the AL East might be harder than the NL East. I have to lay out my case.
I know.
You have 3 teams in the NL East that could win the division.
And I think there's, oh my gosh, who am I missing? Yankees, Red Sox. I think there's 4 teams that are going to compete in the AL East.
Sox, Blue Jays, Rays.
I think the only team that's not going to compete is the Rays, and it's just because of how good the other 4 teams are.
You think the Blue Jays could win the division?
You
think the Red Sox can win?
I think they can get to a wild card spot. All right, we'll stop there. But I think there's 4 teams that'll compete for a playoff spot in the AL. I think there's 3 teams in the NL East that'll compete for a spot. I think.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. I think all 3 will make it in the NL. Would not be surprised if only 2 teams make it in the AL. And it would probably just be the Orioles and the Yankees.
That would support my argument, though. Thank you very much. I
Well,
have to always win the argument, Vincent. You know that. Come on.
In the past year or two, I would have had the Phillies above the Mets, but the way the Mets have actually retooled this all season, I'd actually give the edge and advantage to the Mets. I'd have the Mets over the Phillies, and I'd have them probably as the best team in the NL East right now.
See?
Yeah, I would say that too.
I'd have the Mets probably.
I would not say the best team in the East. I think the Braves.
The Braves are better.
I mean,
the Braves are better.
I'm sorry.
Second best.
I'd say Braves, Mets, then the Phillies.
I could agree with that.
Oh,
I could
1 second.
I like that take. I don't think many of your Yankee friends would agree with me. Would agree with you. But what do you think the AL East is tougher? I don't think there's any.
How bad the Phillies are going to do this season.
I don't think there's any team in the AL East that's.
In terms of star power,
Yeah.
I might actually give it to the NL East.
Star power.
Yeah.
But what about just teams in general? Like who's better?
like the star power that compromises like the teams and stuff.
Well,
like
guys,
that,
I
I'd
hate
give
to
it
break
the
up this
NLEs.
conversation. We have a special guest here. Actually, my co-host from the Friday Morning Buzz, which I have to say is probably one of the greatest morning buzzes ever assembled here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Alex Braun. Alex, what's up?
Was
Alex, you sound like you just woke up.
just because I just did.
Alex, you had a statement to say?
The Phillies suck.
See, me and Alex agree.
Go Birds.
Brawny,
Well, we
go
gotta
back
go.
to bed. All right, I guarantee you're not going to remember this call when you wake up because you must be dreaming right now. I'm wearing my Phillies jersey, which you know, and I'll find you. I will.
You need a ride to the plunge, Vincent.
Oh, do I need a ride to the plunge? Yes. Alex and I are
Okay,
also
I'll
doing,
give you a
which
ride.
is an awesome event here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We're doing the Polar Plunge on February 8th, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, I would love a ride with Alex.
Way to dox us, Vincent. All right. Sounds good.
All right, bye, bud. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, see you next time. Love the show. First time
He's just a funny guy. We always love talking to Alex. He actually called into our Mets show with the Juan Soto
Juan
episode.
Soto news, yeah.
Now, guys, we are going to be playing my favorite game right now. Well, my new favorite game. It's Over Under. And you may be asking yourself, why in the world is Vincent playing Over Under with David and Anthony Walsh? And I'll tell you, it's because he's excited for a good game. Now, we have our prediction episode next week, but we only have an hour to do predictions. So I thought that Anthony and I would do this prediction episode, guess the over-unders on Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, many other big players. And now we have David here, so we get a whole crew to guess the over-unders. And I'll be tallying this. We'll be looking at them through the year, of course. We're doing strikeouts, and we're doing home runs. Anthony, are you ready to play?
I am ready.
David, are you ready to play?
Yes, I am.
All right, folks. Now, I will be giving you the numbers that we've been provided. Are we ready?
Yep.
All right. Now, first off, the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Judge. He's going for, his third MVP
Yeah.
this year? Insanity. Guys, he's going for his third MVP. I'm still looking for my third sandwich that I lost in the fridge. Do you think he hits over, under 48 and a half home runs? So he would need to hit 49.
49. Yes.
I'm saying under.
Wow.
I don't think he's going to stay healthy.
Anthony is always
I'll give my
pessimistic.
quick reasoning.
All
There's
right,
no
let's hear it.
There's no Soto there. And he's also a year older, and he's had his injury issues. I think he'll be close to that, but not above.
I think he's going to be over. I think he's going to be over. I think it's going to be a fun year for him. I think this number is low. I think this number, not Judge's number. I think this next number is
Okay.
so low. Juan Soto. Juan Soto just signed a huge contract with the Mets.
Over. No, go ahead.
33 home runs this year.
Oh,
Over.
That's over. Yeah.
All right, that's what I was saying.
I was gonna
Over
be
is
fair, but-
ridiculous. I don't think there's a world in which he does it. I saw all the videos of, these were balls that were hit by Juan
He's
Soto
going
that
at
would have been a
least-
home run.
He's at least 38, 39, at least.
I wouldn't be
come on.
surprised if he hits 40.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He's going to love the porch. Well, I mean, the new porch.
Well, yeah, he's not at Yankee Stadium anymore. Yankee Stadium has one of the shortest, right to left porches in the whole league.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy
Anthony
thinks Judge is better
Santander
than that.
is our next guy. I think this number is incredibly low. Anthony Santander, 31 home runs?
I'll say over.
Over again.
Yeah.
I think these numbers are incredibly low. I'm saying over 2. Now we're getting into reasonable range, which I said last week we did our Anthony Santander episode, who I think is so cool. But our next guy, we talked about him all the way before, probably the biggest trade on the offseason, and I think it's going to pay dividends to this team, and I said it earlier. Kyle Tucker, 29 home runs. Can he beat it? I think, Anthony, in your case, he's...
It's 29 and a half. Is that what?
Or no,
said?
29. 29. Will he hit over 29?
Uh,
Will he hit 29 or over? I think, though, in your case, he's got to battle injuries.
yeah, I'm gonna say under. I think around
The
20,
pessimistic
25,
Anthony
26.
Walsh. David, what about you?
I'm I mean, being, the situation that he's in, the team that he's on, he doesn't really have as much star power. The Chicago Cubs, compared to a team like the Astros that he was on when he had guys like Alex Bregman. He had, Framber Valdez. He had, good players on his team. I mean, so he's probably, one of the best players on his team, but I don't think he's going to hit 29 home runs. I mean, he's coming off a season where he had 49 RBIs, 80 hits, and 23 home runs. I just don't think he hits it. I think he'll come close. I just don't think he hits 29 home runs.
Another thing, his high is 30. He had 30 in 21, and he had 30 in 22, 29 in 23, 23 this past year, 24. So if his high is 30, is he really going to get that high again? I don't see it.
I don't see it either. And that'll probably, I think there's a lot of guys here that I think are going to have a lot of fun. But I don't think Kyle Tucker is going to. I think if Kyle Tucker contends for an MVP award, it's going to be with the average. He's going to look like he's going to look like Bobby Witt.
I'll tell you what, if he hits below 30 home runs and he's third in MVP voting, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, well, you might be right. All right, Jose Ramirez is our next guy. I'm a big fan of Jose Ramirez. He's done a lot of fun stuff for the Cleveland Guardians. Now, Jose Ramirez, 27 home runs. Do you think it's possible? He's getting a little bit older. He's not as young as he used to be. I will say this, though. He is one of the most exciting players to watch.
What was it?
It was 27.
Yeah, I think that's over.
I think it's over, too. Stop me if I'm wrong here. I think he has a 30-30 season.
I don't know about that.
Wow.
But I'll say over.
Okay. Anthony doesn't like my opinions. That's okay. David, what about yourself?
I say over. I think he goes over 27.
I think so, too. Now, we were talking about him earlier. I'm a big fan of also Vlad. Vlad, great hitter.
Oh, he had actually just tied, his career high this season. He had 39 home runs this year, and he had 39 home runs in 2018.
David, you got to talk into the mic.
Sorry. Sorry, he had 39 home runs this year, and he had 39 home runs in 2018, which were both career highs. I mean, so he's still showing. I mean, yes, he is getting older in age and up there in age, but he is showing that he is still effective.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think with, like Naylor, Clase, he's got a pretty good supporting cast around him, and I think he can do 27 home runs.
I think so, too. I think he also is the focal point of this team. Kyle Tucker doesn't. I think he is going to be the focal point of this team, but I think it's going to take some time for him to adjust, and I don't think he's going to hit the over on that one. But I do think Jose Ramirez understands that he's the focal point of this team. He understands. Listen, Josh Naylor's gone. And now you have to work without him. That's fine. It's okay. You bring back Carlos Santana, who he played with in the World Series, but Kyle Tucker is becoming the focal point of a new team. Jose Ramirez was always the focal point of this team.
Yeah, I mean, he plays so many games per year, though. I mean, 32 years old. He could do it. I don't know. But once you get around that age, it starts getting tougher. That's the reason Alonso is struggling to get a contract.
I think I'm interested to see how it goes. I mean, I'll say that. I'm interested to see how it goes. Now, Vlad Guerrero Jr. has one more year. It's his contract year. I think this is the biggest thing for him. It's his contract year. You need to make a statement here because you don't want to, no offense, you don't want to get in this situation like Alonso.
No.
You don't. And
I agree.
It's the same thing for Bo Bichette. A down year last year. Now, Vlad was amazing last year. But you need to prove you can do that consistently. Because he was great in 2021. I don't know about so great in 2022.
Yeah, drop off, definitely.
A drop off.
Yeah.
2023 was kind of the same. 2024, great bounce back.
Well, he's
great
trying to get
bounce
paid. When you're trying to get paid, usually you show up.
All right. Do you think he shows up enough that he has over 30 home runs?
Yes.
30.
Contract year, I'd be very surprised. 25, 26 years old. I'd be very surprised if that's under.
What about yourself, David? Anything? Still thinking over there?
Yeah.
Still making it work. Well, while you're listening here and while David's making his decision, I'll say mine first. I think he's going to hit the over. I don't think this is going I don't think it's going to be hard unless there's some like freak injury. I really don't think anything is going to happen there.
Over again?
30.
30 for Bobichette, right?
For Guerrero
I
Jr.
mean, Guerrero Jr.
Guerrero.
Vlad Guerrero.
Um,
I think he hits it actually, because once again, when I was talking about him in comparison to Pete Alonso, one thing I talked about a lot was his offensive prowess. So thinking about it, I think he'll have another good year. He's also going into probably he is going into a contract year. So yes, I think he's gonna really show out this year. And I will say this: do not be surprised if he gets offloaded.
I don't know, because they just
season,
spent on Anthony Santander. I don't think this is
during the middle of the season, or if he ends up leaving in free agency next offseason.
I think he's definitely leaving in free agency. I don't think they're going to be a team that ships him off. I think it's going to be another kind of like Angel situation with Ohtani.
They'd have to be pretty bad for the job, because if you're going to trade him, like, you got to be. If there's no hope, fine. But
you're putting Santander in such a bad position in his first year, and it seemed like they were going all in on 1 year, which I don't even like to think about. Now, I think this guy, and he's last on our list right now. I think this guy is the second best DH in baseball. All right, and I really like his swing. I think in some cases, he could be the best hitter. I in the AL at least. I think no, my goodness, no. I would never put Stan. No offense, David. I do not. I'm not on that Stanton train.
Neither am I.
Yordan Alvarez. I'm a big Yordan Alvarez kind of guy.
Astros, right?
Yeah, their DH. He's incredible. He's got a crazy bat.
Yeah.
34 home runs.
This is an interesting one. He's hit over 34 2 times in his career. Once was a few years ago in 22, and once was last year at 35. I'm going to say under. I think just under. I think he's going to go around 33, 32. I mean, I know that sounds like, but
yeah.
Like that's, I mean, if you've only done it twice, I don't know. I could see it going. This is one of those ones where I could see it going either way. I'd have a very tough time if I really had
You
to
think this is a perfect spot to put it?
I think it's very close, yeah.
Very
I'm going to
nice.
say just under, but I can easily see it being just over, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good take. David, what about you?
I actually think he's gonna go a little bit under. It's gonna be very close, but I think he's gonna go a little bit under this year.
Gotcha.
I mean, now he is probably one of their premier, I'd say, power hitters in the league. With the likes of guys like Judge, Stanton, Ohtani. I mean, he really has a powerful bat, but that doesn't necessarily always translate into home runs. So that's why I say I don't think he's gonna go over it this year. But I do think he will have a lot of RBIs and a lot of infield hits where he's getting on base.
I have to say, I totally forgot he won Rookie of the Year.
All the way back in 2019. It's hard to believe he's been playing that long.
I mean,
Yeah,
he had
seriously.
he had
But then
the
he didn't play after that for too long.
I mean, he had the most hits ever in his career this year. He had 170 hits this year.
Yeah, and
So-
he hit 308, which I think is impressive.
So that's what I'm saying. He doesn't. I don't necessarily think he'll be smacking home runs like Judge or Ohtani, but I think he's gonna get on base a lot with hits.
More of an average guy, batting average guy.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna have a lot of RBIs also, possibly.
Well, I always think it's good when Anthony and I disagree. So, so I'm going to go with the over because I do think he's going to hit it. Now, we're going to come back to the leaders because we only have 3 minutes left. And I imagine we're going to need to get out of here soon. But we're going to go with 3 pitchers. Speed round. All right? Are we ready for the speed round?
Let's do it.
1 second. I want one word from you guys on these ones. Yes or no. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Let's get this done. All right. Dylan Cease over 206 strikeouts.
Over.
Over for Anthony. David?
Over.
Over. I'm gonna go with the under on this one. I'm gonna be surprised. Garrett Cole over 173 strikeouts.
Over.
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 If he's able to stay healthy, over.
Wow. I like it. The confidence there. I'm going to go with the over on this one, too. As long as he stays healthy. Paul Skeens, over 213 strikeouts.
Under, because that's
Whoa.
insane. That's a lot of strikeouts. I mean,
David?
maybe.
I'm gonna go over because I think that fastball that he throws is really gonna get a lot of people. I mean, he packs a lot of heat.
I'm going with the over too. I like that pick. We're going quick on these. Tariq Skubal, 203 strikeouts. You think it's possible? Can
Under.
he do
Under.
the same?
I think just under.
Under.
And with Skeens too, just under. I think it'd be very good, but not. That's you know how crazy it is to get that many strikeouts.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
over my
insane.
1 word limit. But
It's insane. David, what about you?
I'm gonna go under.
I'm going the over on this one. I knew Anthony and I would have different thoughts on here. All right, this one, Anthony is going to get a kick out of because I put him on here just so he could get a kick out of him. Hunter Green,
oh,
my least favorite pitcher. 131 strikeouts. Is it possible?
under.
Under.
Good, but he's not that good.
David, what about you?
Under.
I'm going with the under too. I'm just going with the under because I don't like the.
You don't like Hunter Green.
I don't like Hunter Green. All right, guys. Our last one. Anthony's going to be angry about this one. Roki Sasaki,
Oh,
150 strikeouts. You think it's possible?
Under. It's tough, man. Your first year in the big leagues,
Yeah.
under.
David?
I'm gonna go under. Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough, and I think the Dodgers' pitching depth is just so kind of stacked that I don't know. We don't even know how many games he's gonna play this year.
I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an injury or something. But, folks, this has been the Walk-Off on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We thank you for coming. We're going to see you next week. We'll see you soon. We hope you join us, but we hope you also had a fun time. And we shall see you next week with our favorite episode of the year. It's the prediction episode. We're bringing in a lot of people, and we're going to be talking to them about what they think about awards. But we'll see you next time.